Yes! Stab him! Stab him! Why are you running away? Stab him again!
Somebody! Please!
You gotta get your ruthlessness up. Welcome to Survivor Scale. I'm H2 Mass, and today I'm ranking every main character in Terrifier, the first feature film in the now infamous series about a supernatural killer clown, this time detailing what happens when he targets two young women on Halloween night. We start the film by stealing from Courage the Cowardly Dog, as the television cuts into static before revealing a disfigured woman recounting her violent interaction with notorious serial killer Art the Clown, who refuses to listen to his victim wrongfully proclaim his death and breaks his old-ass TV in protest. A bit later, we see the interviewer, Monica, backstage talking shit about her guest over the phone, telling her boyfriend to kill her if she ever looks like that.
If I ever look like that, promise me you'll put me out of my misery.
Damn, you deserve whatever's coming to you. Monica, though, does show some solid awareness as she senses a presence hiding in the room, only for her melee to fail her when the woman attacks and gouges out her eyes before laughing about spreading her pain to someone else. Flashing back 1 year earlier, we see Dawn and Tara walking to their car at night until Art the Clown begins approaching them in his Oreo-themed costume, and while Tara shows caution by trying to ignore him, Dawn does the opposite and antagonizes a man who looks like he kills people. Well, I mean, never mind. Suddenly though, the clown disappears and the women go to a pizza place, but just after they start getting comfortable, the clown walks in with a look you give to someone who just asked you to do something you were already about to do. After he sits down, he continues staring at Tara, but makes sure to add a bit of seasoning with a few variations of his repulsive smile. Just look at those teeth. Dawn, however, continues her display of poor caution and high instigation as she again antagonizes the clown. He looks pissed, this time invading his personal space more than a colonoscopy, which would probably help him since he decides to walk into the bathroom and excrete over every surface, prompting the owner to throw his nasty ass out of the restaurant.
You fucking freak!
Dawn and Tara then walk back to the car, only to find one of the tires deflated, so Tara calls her sister Victoria to pick them up. As they wait for their chauffeur, Art returns to the pizzeria and gives the employee a terrible manicure before following it up with an even worse makeup tutorial. You'd think he'd do a better job considering his costume. Back at the car, Tara continues to move up the scale as she demonstrates some inquisitiveness, still questioning the danger of the clown and whether he had anything to do with the car no longer working. She knows something's up. But who would trust a clown with bloody teeth and a big-ass garbage bag? Unfortunately though, Tara follows up her solid display with a line that belongs in a political attack ad against asparagus.
I really have to pee.
Fortunately for her, Mike the exterminator walks outside of a nearby apartment building, giving Tara an opportunity to go to the bathroom. After she convinces him to let her inside, Mike leads her into the dark-ass basement, but instead of killing her like most bald people would, he simply walks away and goes back to killing rats. And I gotta say, did anyone else feel like they were trying to show some kind of attraction between the two of them? I mean, just look at her smile when she looks at him.
Lighten up, take me on your magic river.
You tell me. When she finishes using the nasty ass bathroom, she starts heading back to the car, only to find Art blocking the exit. After hesitating for a moment, she runs back downstairs, but shows incredible clumsiness with the fakest fall ever put to screen. Once she gets back up, she moves behind some cars as Art patrols the area. Just when she thinks she's lost him though, her awareness fails her and she falls victim to a series of stabs, but Tara displays some resolve and stabs him in the side before running away with her wounded legs while he lies on the ground after only getting stabbed once. Lame. Unable to open the door, Tara hides again, and when Art gets close, Tara demonstrates some ingenuity by throwing a projectile to draw him towards it and away from her, allowing her to go back to the entrance. Once she reaches it, however, she sees it locked up with some chains, but her goofy ass still loudly tries to open it, finally shaking the door as she fails to do so. Now looking for another way out, she goes further upstairs, eventually encountering Mike again, but instead of approaching him, she draws attention to her position by yelling for help, allowing Art to find and inject her with a sedative while Mike disregards his health by not only smoking, but also listening to music at levels so high he can't clearly hear someone screaming. A bit later, Tara wakes up tied to a chair, forcing her to watch as Art reveals Dawn hanging upside down, before doing the famous magic trick of cutting a person in half, but vertically, only for him to fail at the whole putting her back together part, leaving the invasive instigator with ineffective inhibition in D tier. Despite having just seen her friend play the part of a banana peel, Tara demonstrates some resolve and begins breaking free from the chair, even managing to knock Art to the ground and stab him when he approaches her. Unfortunately though, she displays poor ruthlessness and opportunism when she just walks away instead of continuing to stab him while she has the chance. Because of this, he continues hunting her down again, but she showcases more melee and improved opportunism when she appears from behind and smacks him with a plank, now showing some arrogance as she taunts him with the same insults they used on Oedipus.
Come on, motherfucker!
Having had enough of her insolence, Art's lame ass decides to cheat when he whips out a hidden pistol and shoots Tara in the leg before shooting her in the side before shooting her in the head. Damn. Let's talk about Tara. In stark contrast to her friend, Tara displays a lot of caution, which honestly just falls into common sense, as only someone who doesn't value their own safety would intentionally harass a man who speaks no words and carries around a large black bag of undisclosed materials. Still though, Tara at least has a self-preservation in mind not to antagonize potential threats, which may not have changed much here, but might help her in other horror movies. Like, let's be real, Art was gonna kill her no matter what. Tara also demonstrates solid resolve and skepticism, continuing to fight even after getting stabbed in the leg, and questioning the mysterious clown man when the car suddenly had a slashed tire. Unfortunately though, Tara has the same poor ruthlessness and opportunism that plagues so many horror movie victims, especially in this film, not taking advantage of any moment of weakness in her attacker beyond simply running away, which only delays the inevitable future confrontation. Overall, Tara had a pretty good performance, demonstrating several qualities at an above average level, with her negatives not detracting too much from her final evaluation, leaving the peeing partygoer without a plan for pistols in B tier. As Mike continues working with his music slowly crippling him, an eccentric woman sneaks up and tells him about Art in the basement. Not a fan of museums, he simply tells her to get away from him, showing poor emotional intelligence and caution by not recognizing the sincerity in her voice or treating the situation seriously when she tells him that Art will kill them both. After walking away, he stops in the stairwell to call his boss, only to show poor awareness as Art sneaks up from behind and knocks him out. That's how it feels to appreciate a good piece of art. It just hits you. Meanwhile, Victoria finally arrives at the building, but can't find her sister, so she walks around looking for her, only to find Dawn's mutilated corpse hanging from the ceiling. Instead of calling the cops though, she simply moves further into the building, where she ends up hearing someone crying out for help. Believing it to be Tara, she heads towards the sound, only to find Art wearing the hair and skin of the eccentric woman. Now running away from Art, Victoria decides to try and outsmart him by entering the most obvious hiding spot imaginable, but instead reveals her terrible hide and seek skills when Art stares directly at her in the locker. Luckily for her though, Art walks away to deal with a clueless man trying to get inside the building. Feeling a bit safer, Victoria continues trying to get outside, only for Art to sneak up and place a bag on her head, but Victoria displays some solid ingenuity and strong resolve when she tears a hole in the bag and then grabs a nail before stabbing Art in the leg. I would have stabbed him somewhere else. Having bought herself a bit of time, Victoria decides to completely waste it by taking a moment to mourn in front of an elegant display of her sister's body, giving Art time to catch up to her and employ his BDSM fetishism as he whips her with a chain. Miraculously, however, Mike sneakily appears after having somehow recovered from getting bonked in the head and treats Art like a pest when he knocks him out, leaving the scene without fully finishing off his assignment like all exterminators do. The pair then lock themselves in another room, where Mike calls the police and tells them that he knocked out but didn't take advantage and kill Art despite recognizing how dangerous he is. Man, these horror villains get so lucky that people refuse to kill them when they have the chance. After hanging up on the police despite them telling him not to, Mike leads Victoria out of the room, but when they make it to the exit, they find it locked, and when Mike looks for something to help them escape, Art knocks him to the floor and then stomps him to death. Oof. Let's talk about him. I don't have much to say about Mike, but one thing I can't ignore is his painful lack of ruthlessness when he doesn't take advantage and kill Art despite considering him extremely dangerous. Him potentially fearing Art's fighting ability couldn't have been the reason for this because he attacked him in the first place. He already had the advantage, so why not go further? Plot. That's why. And his hard ass head. Dude really got back up after someone whacked his skull with a hammer. Though he probably considered her crazy, Mike also ignored the woman who told him about a dead body and a killer in the basement, which, in addition to prematurely hanging up on the police, leaves his caution a bit lackluster, ultimately adding on another unimpressive attribute and leaving the sneaky smoker with a sturdy skull in C tier. Now alone, Victoria starts attacking the lock as Art moves towards her. Fortunately, she somehow manages to break it, but Art still grabs her before she can escape. Victoria, though, showcases some more resolve as she stabs Art in the eye before running out of the building, finally having escaped the House of Horrors, only to run into another building right next to it. You spent all that time trying to get out, just to go right back in? What makes you think he can't get in there too? What in the world? Art then drives a truck straight through the door and knocks out Victoria's slow ass before deciding to recuperate his lost calories from tonight's workout by eating Victoria's face. Unfortunately for him though, the cops arrive soon after, but instead of surrendering, Art just looks annoyed and shoots himself. When they bring him to the morgue, the lights start to flicker and he begins choking the mortician. A year later, Victoria emerges from a hospital room in preparation for her interview the next day. I wonder what's gonna happen. Let's talk about Victoria. While she eventually became a perpetrator, she started out as a regular college student, called away from studying for exams to a night of horrors that would leave her forever changed. Arriving at the scene after all of the other victims, Victoria had to discover and then quickly adapt to the terrifying situation, which she mostly managed to do with decent composure. Most notably though, she displayed strong resolve, repeatedly getting back up after Art's numerous assaults, even surviving a car crashing into her and Art eating her face. While she, like Mike and her sister, also didn't display the necessary ruthlessness to kill Art, she at least didn't pass up any obvious opportunities to do so, instead making a quick attack and then running away while he was still standing. The others didn't kill him while he was on the ground. All in all, Victoria had a solid performance, mostly characterized by some genuinely impressive resolve that might prove useful in a film like Saw, leaving the satiating student with some serious scars in B tier. But that's it. The average ranking for this cast was C tier. And okay, collection of characters, with the ultimate survivor going to Tara for her versatile performance despite a few flaws, and the first kill going to Dawn for her awful sense of caution and instigation. Thanks for watching.